I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We'll be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes what the city of Portland is planning to do with millions of dollars of unspent housing funds. Plus, why a new ruling means that people who've been waiting for years for restitution will have to keep waiting. And later, we introduce you to the Rose Festival princess who's overcome adversity and just won a major scholarship. First, a story we followed all week is an incident where a car plunged into the Willamette River early Monday morning. 2 people were killed, 1 person survived, and a 4th remains missing and presumed dead. On Thursday, the medical examiner identified the 2 people confirmed dead. They are 19-year-old Roberto Garcia Chavez and 17-year-old Trent Badillo. Both are from the Beaver Creek area. Investigators believe Garcia Chavez was the driver of the car. A 3rd occupant who was rescued from the river has been confirmed to be a 17-year-old boy, but he's not being identified at this time. Well, this all started downtown Monday after a Portland police officer tried to pull the car over for reckless driving. Investigators say the driver took off through Waterfront Park, crashed through a metal railing, and plunged into the river. 1 person was rescued soon after the crash. 2 other bodies were recovered by Monday afternoon, with the 4th person still missing but presumed dead.
We generally only have 1 boat on the water at any given time. We have 110 miles of river to patrol. So unfortunately, sometimes, though we might want to be in a certain area and spend our time there, we have other things that could pull us away. We want to make sure, if we can, to go and find this unaccounted for person and return them to their family.
Well, this week, the community and family members visited the site of that crash, where there's now a barricade and a growing memorial. Well, this week, Washington and Clackamas counties rejected a request from Portland's mayor to help fund additional homeless shelters in the city. Mayor Keith Wilson requested $4 million from Clackamas County and $6 million from Washington County to help fund 4 homeless shelters and 2 day centers in Portland. The mayor calls them emergency resources for the entire region. After separate board meetings and public comment, both counties declined to send any money to Portland.
And that we're not just writing blank checks to, frankly, an agency that has really lacked public trust because of their failures to actually get ahead of the crisis.
I can tell you, for me, I am not in favor of providing money to Portland. I think that we have enough need here.
In response, Mayor Wilson expressed his gratitude for their consideration. Both counties say they haven't ruled out future partnerships. Well, for months, Portland city leaders have been struggling to decide how to spend the tens of millions of dollars in unspent housing money. On Wednesday, they heard public testimony from people desperate for solutions and fed up with the wait. KGW's Alma McCarty was there for the heated discussion.
Get this housing money out into community hands and do it today.
Wednesday morning inside council chambers, an ongoing discussion stretches on.
I just hope that I can come to a decision to pass this amendment to help a whole lot of people.
Portland city councilors considering what to do with tens of millions of dollars in unspent housing funds discovered last year in order to keep people housed.
We have debated these funds for months now. We've held it over meeting after meeting, despite the public consistently, even today, urging us to appropriate these much needed funds.
Several Portlanders demanded council make moves on the funding sooner rather than later.
Strengthen the service net of this community, where many people are going unsheltered and unserviced. The wait is over and the time is now.
For the sake of so many households on the verge of losing their housing this month and those on the verge of becoming housed again, I beg you all to move forward together. Pass a damn amendment today and move this housing money.
Cost of living continues to go up. Affordable housing is not affordable. Wages continue to stay stagnant and the conditions of the properties do not improve with each rent increase.
After lots of back and forth, some of it contentious, City Council ultimately passed the proposal 8-4. With the money going to things like rent assistance, eviction prevention, affordable housing development, and social housing. It was introduced by 4 councilors and called Keeping Portlanders Housed.
We all come to this with different perspectives and priorities. That's part of the job. And I think governing means that we make decisions even when they're not perfect, progress over perfection.
In Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, thousands of small businesses in Portland will see some financial relief. This week, Portland City Council approved a major tax break. The city is raising the amount businesses can make before paying the business license tax from $50,000 to $75,000 next year and up to $100,000 by 2027. Leaders say it will help thousands of small businesses keep more of their money and make taxes easier to file. It's the first major update to this tax since 2007. Meanwhile, Oregon's farmers and producers are feeling the financial strain of the war in Iran. Oil prices have risen by about 50% since the war began February 28th. Wheat farmers in eastern Oregon told us this week they are losing thousands of dollars because of the high prices. 90% of their harvests are shipped overseas, and in just the past few weeks, they've seen diesel prices double. Some farmers we spoke with say they're not paying themselves right now. Others say they're cutting corners and putting off repairs.
I worry, honestly, that I'm going to lose this before my boys take over. And what am I doing now to make them want to come back to this space? Because it's a huge ask.
Wheat farmers say they can't pass costs on to customers because wheat prices are set by the world market.
We have to stand up to the bully. The only language a bully understands is confronting them head on.
The city of Portland is considering a new rule that would cap how much companies like Uber and Lyft can take from each ride. And the goal is to make it so drivers keep a higher percentage of the fee that riders pay.
I think it's high time that we actually step in and reevaluate the cost share and the city's role in regulating when we have an industry where the pay that drivers are ending up with at the end of the day really isn't covering, as I understand it, their cost of doing business.
In a statement to KGW, a spokesperson for Uber said the plan would force the company to leave Portland if it passes, adding the city already has high fees and expensive regulations. A coalition called We Play for Portland, which includes sports teams and arts venues, came out against the idea, saying it could reduce access to reliable rides for events. As of now, there's no date for when that ordinance will be heard again. To a major deal in the tech world now, with Intel announcing it's joining Elon Musk's TerraFab project. It's a massive AI chip complex being built with SpaceX and Tesla in Texas. Intel posted a photo of CEO Lip Bhutan and Musk at the Intel HQ in Santa Clara over the previous weekend. The goal is to produce chips that will power the future of AI and robotics. The deal is a significant win for Intel, which has faced billions in losses and widespread layoffs as it fights to stay relevant in the AI era. Well, a big update this week. Pacificorp has won an appeal in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit in connection with the 2020 Labor Day fires. The Oregon Court of Appeals reversed a ruling from Multnomah County. Now nearly 100 fire victims are in limbo as their cases go back to trial. Celine Stevens explains.
Folks have been waiting 6 years, and they're not going to get resolution of this for probably a few more years.
Years of waiting will only continue now that the Oregon Court of Appeals' latest ruling reverses and remands one of the class action lawsuits back to trial court. That case revolving around the deadly 2020 Labor Day fires.
Pacificorp chose not to protect Oregonians that night. The possibility of an ignition must be weighed against the dangers of de-energization when whole cities or towns can be blanketed in darkness just when they need power the most.
Pacificorp has paid out hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the years to victims, many who lost everything in the fires.
We were able to sift through those ashes, and everything we could find fit in a sandwich bag of everything that we own.
But when it comes to this case involving around 100 plaintiffs, there's now been a pause. Bob Jenks is the executive director of the Oregon Citizens Utility Board.
And folks need, in my mind, to be able to get on with their lives and this continual court case. And it's a problem with our courts. Our courts are amazingly slow to resolve things.
According to the opinion from the Oregon Court of Appeals, the issue arose from when the trial court told the jury that it could assume that the evidence at the trial applies to all class members. The opinion goes on to state that aspects of causation were not proven through use of common evidence.
This continued litigation, I don't think is good for the utility. It's not good for the fire victims, and it's not resolving the real problem that people's lives were hurt.
Lead counsel for the plaintiffs provided a statement, writing in part that that today's decision is a procedural setback, not a judgment on Pacificorp's conduct. The Oregon Court of Appeals didn't say Pacificorp didn't start these fires. It didn't say Pacificorp wasn't negligent. Pacificorp also releasing a statement saying they are sensitive to the profound losses experienced by members in our communities. There are no winners in wildfire. However, the court's decision supports Pacificorp's long-standing belief that this process was prejudicial and not appropriate for managing wildfire litigation. Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Well, Pacificorp has said they will continue to defend against claims that are unsupported. When this will return to trial, still unclear. Meanwhile, Washington state leaders declared a drought emergency for the 4th year in a row this week. It's after this winter saw one of the lowest snowpacks in history. Under state law, a drought is declared when water supply drops below 75% of normal. Ecologists say the declaration will give funding to areas impacted by the low water supply and help protect forests from potential wildfires. They also stress the importance of fire prevention.
Washington state, more than 90% of the wildfires are human caused. So in drought conditions like this, it's more important than ever the Washington state residents follow the rules as it relates to burning on your property. It means being careful and safe with campfires and fireworks and motorized vehicles on dry areas.
The state is working with Washington State University to understand the agricultural impacts of back-to-back droughts like this. And back in Oregon, Governor Tina Kotek signed 8 bills into law Thursday, all to protect immigrant communities. They range from requiring law enforcement to clearly identify themselves and limit their use of masks, to protecting immigrants at hospitals with the Health Care Without Fear Act, and putting safeguards in place at schools. Governor Kotek said these laws show the state is standing up for its values and protecting the rights of immigrant and refugee communities.
We believe in the Constitution. We believe in lawful enforcement, but we do not condone or will accept unlawful activity by the federal government to scare our community members, to make us unsafe, and to frankly not help any of us have the prosperity that we need.
Most of these laws will go into effect at some point through the year. When it comes to what happens if the law isn't followed, well, that's a little bit more unclear, but the governor assured there will be consequences. Well, city leaders in Cannon Beach are taking a look at how to keep people safe this summer from the overwhelming elk population in the area. Wildlife experts say the elk are becoming more comfortable around people, and they're drawn by easy food access and things like fertilized lawns and garden plants. And that is causing some dangerous encounters. They recommend putting up fences or planting things that elk really don't like to eat.
We don't have signs at the entrances to the city warning people about the elk. We have no signage up that is really, we have no viable campaign of education yet in this city for tourists and for citizens. So obviously to me, that's step number one. Yeah. And the other things you mentioned are things that need to be looked at.
Leaders say they already have an ordinance that bans people from feeding wildlife, but there isn't one that sets a safe distance people should stay away. Well, now for some positive news. A Portland High School senior and one of this year's Rose Princesses has won a $20,000 scholarship. Libby Dowsett shows us how her efforts to overcome adversity landed her the honor.
Jasmine Reyes Contreras is an Instagram standout. She's documented her rise in student government.
Welcome, Oregon.
Her testifying for a bill in Salem to reduce student absences. Her win as Rose Festival Princess for her school and their unofficial school spirit coach. Those interviewing her for the Stanford Children $20,000 scholarship saying she stood out as a leader rising above adversity by changing the culture at her school.
The energy in the halls was palpable, and when she would walk through, people would everyone knew who she was.
But perhaps most impressive, her recent acceptance to Barnard College.
How could somebody like me get accepted to an Ivy League? Like, that's crazy.
But not such a surprise for Jasmine's leadership director, Sierra Hill, who's been there for Jasmine since 6th grade.
I just don't think that she would have believed that this was possible for somebody who lived the life that she lived and that looked the way that she does, and just the the kid that she thought she was at that point.
Jasmine says her father has been gone since 3rd grade. She left her mother's home in 5th grade, bouncing among relatives in more than 20 homes. She says her relatives grappled with drugs and mental health issues.
I needed that love. I mean, everybody needs love, and I wasn't receiving that at home. I wasn't receiving that from my parents.
She now lives with her former volleyball coach, instructors, teachers, and family friends, creating her new family.
I want to be the adult that I needed at that point, and so finding Jasmine where I'm like, here's a student that really does need an adult that can help push and grow.
Know that there's people that actually care about me and want to see me succeed, and like just reminiscing on like the hard times and knowing that I had people who were able to pick me up and like speak positively to myself when I wasn't doing that for myself.
Every scholarship, every awards letter, I've edited every essay. It has been a labor of love, and I'm super proud of the person that she is and where she's at in her life right now.
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Congratulations to her and for her choice for college. Jasmine says she hasn't made up her mind yet. She's been accepted at Barnard College in New York, and she's also being pursued by the University of Redlands in California. Well, a local group is working to transform a former Portland landfill into acres of native habitat for birds and other animals. The Bird Alliance of Oregon has been working with local students and other groups to start planting native vegetation on Northeast 82nd Avenue. The site is eventually set to host a new wildlife care center for the Bird Alliance, a nature sanctuary with trails and park space for public use, and a solar panel array. Well, you may remember the plan for a passenger ferry on the Willamette. It's still around, and we learned this week about when a boat could actually be in the water. We're talking about the Frog Ferry. The vision is 7 electric passenger ferries that would travel from Vancouver to Oregon City. The nonprofit behind the project says it needs $22 million to launch Frog Ferry within 3 years. But after falling short on state and city support, they're now looking to the community to help them raise $2 million. So for $300, you can buy in and become a part owner of Frog Ferry. Spend $15,000 and you get your name on a seat. $900,000 and you get to name one of those boats. On Thursday, local leaders held a special event to celebrate the return of the Thompson Elk to its Main Street home after nearly 6 years out of the public eye. The 9-foot-tall statue was commissioned by one of the first mayors in the city and built in 1900. It was a fixture in Portland for 120 years before it was damaged during protests in 2020. The city then removed it, and it underwent a restoration to remove scratches and graffiti. A $1.8 million project was carried out to refurbish the fountain base. Amongst a crowd of onlookers, the elk was hoisted into place to the sound of cheers. One person we spoke with sees the elk's return as a metaphor for the city as a whole.
I think it's symbolic of Portland being a bruised city, and now it's trying to stiffen back up and become alive again. So it's beautiful to see.
Indeed. Well, the statue also got a fresh coat of wax ahead of its return. Right now, here's Rod with your weather.
I'm meteorologist Rod Hill, and we're looking at a weekend with scattered precipitation both days on Saturday and on Sunday. And remember, scattered often means maybe where you are you get some rain, maybe you don't. Certainly on Sunday, weather models love the fact that there could be way more dry weather across our region than wet. Now, we are starting off with that Friday evening thunderstorm threat, and even the Saturday thunderstorm threat will still be tied to the upper level low that you see parked down in California. It's important for me to note that I'm recording this weather forecast for you Friday morning in the 9 o'clock hour. It's always important to know when you get a weather forecast exactly when was it laid down, especially with thunderstorms in the forecast. Things could be changing, and I urge you to make sure you get an updated product if you're going to be out and about, especially through the day Saturday with the storm chance still in the forecast. So this was Friday evening, just showing the thunderstorms that expected to move up through our area. And then as we go into Saturday, there's still a scattered storm chance. This is Saturday at 7 p.m. showing some storms, especially moving up into central Oregon, which could be for your weekend planning Central Oregon, Sun River Bend could be one of the bullseyes of thunderstorm activity. And we do know that the storms backing up to Thursday afternoon down around Medford and over into Bend and up into even Lynn County nearing Albany had reports of hail, had reports of gusty winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. So it's possible you could find yourself dealing with a fast-hitting storm through all of this as well. This is Saturday at 11 p.m. and just shows some rain as the thunderstorm chances would be ending. Here's the wider futurecast look. All the bright colors are a thunderstorm threat. Again, that's up into Friday night. But here's Saturday morning, and you can see scattered action, including some thunderstorms out over the Blue Mountains and out toward Pendleton, moving up, looks like out toward Pullman. Eventually, more thunderstorms moving up the Cascades from south to north Saturday, including the Bend area. And then as we get into Sunday, I really want you to notice this. Storms out east, just some gentle rain showers and not that many Sunday morning here on the west side. Here's some more rain coming through in the afternoon. Again, on the west side of our state, including Portland, including Salem, including Vancouver, any thunderstorm threat will be ending, it looks like, Saturday night. And by Sunday, it's just some scattered rain showers. Weather models like heavy convection with rain totals picking up. I'm just going to play these numbers. This will be a cumulative rain totals from Friday night into Sunday. And look at this, much of the state potentially picking up a half of an inch of rain. A reminder, the Meadows is open this weekend for the finale of operations on Sunday. Here is Portland's 7-day. By Saturday, 64, the thunderstorm threat. And on Sunday, no storm threat, scattered showers and a high of 60.
And that is a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. Don't forget you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.